chapter was really good. I feel like I'm missing something though from the Orlumbus cover page. Like I feel like there has to be some type of an Easter egg or clue in either the background or his wizard hat. Why is it important that we know that it's 6 a.m.? It's interesting. And there is a map on the shelf. I wonder what that map is of. And some books. And I can't really read their spines. So hopefully something comes out of it. Can't wait to see how this cover story concludes. Anyway, we get a shot of New Marineford. Now, this is not the first time that we've seen New Marineford. We've seen it before. Here's a picture of it. And once again, I think your mind is pretty much obligated to make the connection between New Marineford and a huge white McDonald's. So we've seen the structure before, but I think this is like the first establishing shot that Oda has given us to sort of showcase it at a much larger scale. And it allows us to appreciate the structure a lot more fully. It definitely does look more like a fortress than Old Marineford did. Here's a picture of Old Marineford for comparison. The new one definitely looks a lot more guarded than its predecessor, but I think the takeaway here is that it's guarding the entrance to Mariejois. Also, just as a quick note, last chapter it said that there were 2 days left for the start of the Reverie, so I'm guessing there was a time jump because, I mean, the Revolutionaries are there, so there's already been 2 days, which I'm assuming that that's probably more than enough time for Luffy and friends to get to Wano. Anyway, it doesn't seem like Akainu will be going to the Reverie. Otherwise, he'd have a confrontation with Fujitora. We have T-Bone there, you know, the guy that was one-shotted by Zoro back when they were on the train, or at least they were trying to make their way to Enies Lobby. Zoro just kind of one-shotted him. And he tells them that Fujitora is already at the Holy Land, at Mariejois. And apparently the comedic loophole that Fujitora found was that, technically speaking, Mariejois is not a marine base. Akainu told him that he was not allowed into any marine base until he actually brought Luffy and Law's heads. But Mariejois is not part of the Marines, so I mean that's kind of like what the Marines have to protect. And I can only imagine that Fujitora used his gravity powers to get up there. Like maybe he levitated like a rock and just, you know, sort of like flew up to the top, or, I mean, he can levitate ships, so again, it doesn't seem like Akainu will be going to the Reverie. He seems pretty busy there at the Marineford office. And I like how Sengoku uses this opportunity to be a total troll. He's just like, hey, how's my old job making you feel? But man, like, I was actually surprised. Like, Akainu got offended. Well, he didn't get offended, he got upset, and he was yelling at Sengoku. Man, this guy just doesn't respect anybody. Because I remember, like, at one point there was also a moment where he was actually yelling at the Gorosei as well. Akainu is busy trying to make Marineford great again because these admirals just don't do their jobs. Speaking of admirals, I didn't see Kizaru in this. Do you think he's going over to Wano? It'd be cool if he shows up and starts kicking the crap out of some supernova. He'd be like, oh, part 2. Anyway, I thought it was a really cool touch for Oda to bring back the Subodi Archipelago bubbles. And we see that they're being used as lifts now. So they attach to the bottom of the gondola, I think that's what it's called, and just kind of like rises up like an elevator. So again, it's a really cool, creative way of Oda using something that he had previously introduced and using that to get to the top of the red line. And then we get to the page where the kingdoms are arriving, and I love that page because it shows that there's no such thing as being PC in Japan. If this had been published by an American author, like, people would be like yelling and screaming about how offensive it is and how, like, you know, insensitive like it is to draw these stereotypes from different countries. But Oda doesn't give a crap. Like, Oda's not even trying at this point. We have Russia with the dolls, you know those dolls that just kind of like go inside of each other. So that's obviously Russia. We have Mexico. I was half expecting there to be, like, you know, King Tacos from, what is it, Chicano Kingdom? I was half expecting there to be a princess called Princess Guacamole and her brother Tequila. Now, if you remember back in Dressrosa, there was a character called Jan the Bandit. And, I mean, his design just completely matches King Tacos' design. So I'm pretty sure he's also from the One Piece version of Mexico. Then we got King Hamburger from the Bollywood Kingdom. It's obviously a reference to Uncle Sam, USA. And then we also have Queen Malarone from Morocco. And the only reason I was able to find that out is because I Googled what tajin meant, and it turns out that it's a Moroccan dish It looks like this. And so I kind of made the connection since, I mean, Oda, I mean, he's using taco for crying out loud and hamburger. So it has to be Morocco. And just as a very brief reminder, I think it's important to remember that Wano is based off of Japan. Kano, the Kano Kingdom, where Dongjinjiao and Sai are from, is based off of China. Okay, Dressrosa is based off of Spain, and Alabasta is based off of Egypt. Turns out that Garp was sent under the sea to escort Shirahoshi, King Neptune, and his sons, and it's just such a breath of fresh air to see Garp again. You know, he's just like always like, he's just happy. He's just happy, and he's laughing. Fake News Morgans has fallen in love, so he's probably going to be the one to cover Shirahoshi's upcoming kidnapping. Because really, like, not to be a downer, but she really is kind of asking to be kidnapped. Like this sense of wonder and bewilderment, and she's just like, wow, like this is a brand new world for her, and she's super excited. She even asks Garp, is that the forest that you guys have up here? And Garp is like, no, that's just one tree. Also, if you look at the way that Garp says goodbye to Shirahoshi as the Bandala begins to rise up, he has the exact same gesture and expression that Luffy has on his wanted poster. It's like, like even like Garp's behavior towards Stelly is similar to Luffy's, because he just doesn't really give a crap about his status as a king. Like he even straight up insults him, and then he says like, oh yeah, I made a mistake. You just forget I said that, okay? It turns out that Stelly has actually gotten worse as a person. He's more horrible now than he is. I mean, he was just so obnoxious in this chapter. It's like, just shut up. In fact, the chapter kind of makes it seem as if he's actually responsible for murder. As of right now, I don't really believe that he was the one who directly killed his mother and father-in-law. Like maybe he hired somebody, because I just don't see him as like the type of guy that would have the balls to do that. But like he was so annoying, like just complaining about everything, super scared about everything. And then his freaking goal is to become a celestial dragon, which when I read that the first time, I didn't really pay that much attention to it. But then I thought, oh no, like, you know, this comment is there for a reason. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the arc, he does something sneaky to actually become one. And then we have this beautifully drawn panel of Shirahoshi admiring the sunlight and the sky. And to me, it's very clear foreshadowing. Number one, because she's way too happy. So again, kidnapping incoming. I'm going to say it again. It's going to happen. She's just way too happy. It's like she's saying, like, this is way too good to be true. And then she also says that the light of the sunlight tree on the seafloor pales in comparison to the view, to what she's seeing, which is a reference and, you know, speaks to Luffy one day destroying Fishman Island and sort of giving the fishmen the freedom of just kind of roaming the seas and just being up on the surface and just doing whatever they want. Like Shirahoshi's like, I want to be able to live above ground and enjoy the sun. And then her family's like, well, that's what the Reverie is for. That's what we're going to discuss. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. You're going to get shut down. You're going to be discriminated against. You living above ground is end of series level stuff, okay? This Reverie for Shirahoshi, as of right now, has a bunch of red lights, just warning signs going like, By the way, Morley, I'm assuming, is busy digging a tunnel under the red line so that it could actually, you know, be the entrance for the Revolutionary Army. I don't know if Dragon's going to be using that tunnel to get into Mariejois, because I think Dragon has a wind logia, or at least like that's a very popular theory. So Dragon may arrive via flight, via the air, but that's how they're going to do it. They're going to go through just underground and bust into the Holy Land. Sabo has already infiltrated the guards, and that's how the chapter ends. That was a really great touch, because, you know, Sabo knows Stelly, so the fact that he's like talking to him, trying to calm him down, even though he's like going to be the agent of chaos, or at least part of it, is really cool. And then Karasu is already flying up there. I think the main purpose of Morley making that tunnel is primarily so that they can like get Ivankov in, because of Ivankov's enormous head. Not sure about Lindbergh and how he's going to arrive. But anyway, we do go to Kamabaka Kingdom, and Koala's there with Bello Betty, so the girls are staying behind. And there's a couple more Revolutionary Army members. There's one chick that has like a robot arm, like a steampunk robot arm. There's like Humpty Dumpty, and there's like another character that looks like a mixture between like a horse and a camel and a giraffe or something. And again, speaking of Karasu, like I have to make this point. each one of those members has goggles. So what's up with the goggles, Karasu? Why do you not wear goggles? And in that same scene, we find out from Koala that the main objective of the Revolutionary Army are not the kingdoms. It's not the world government that they're after, it's the celestial dragons that sit at the top, which I think is really cool because they're taking into consideration like innocent bystanders, like people from the kingdoms that really have nothing to do with this, or kind of like may even disagree with the celestial dragons to a certain extent. So, it's kind of like, they don't need to be caught in between this declaration of war between the revolutionaries and the celestial dragons. Although the Marines are like obligated to protect the celestial dragons, so there will be like some type of casualties just because of like how interconnected the systems are. But at the very least, I like the fact that Koala is stating that their main target are the celestial douchebag dragons. Bum 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 ba da da dum bum 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 bum. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw that silhouette, I was thinking to myself, I was so hyped. I didn't even think about the fact that he was a Marine. My brain just thought, gee, I wonder what his bounty is going to be. This is what we call a semi-half-ass introduction, but because it's Oda and it's One Piece, there's just so much information, just little tidbits that you can infer and gather from this small appearance in this chapter. So first of all, you can tell his personality is super laid back. Just look at his posture and how he's like sort of like reclining on the chair, just being like, heh, Sakasuki told me that I had to kick you out. You want to go at it? I love the quote where like, well, we should try not to destroy this place. Because like if two admirals go at it, it's like they'll change the weather permanently of wherever it is they fight. We got the Gorosei and the kingdoms here, so let's not get too carried away. Let's not aim for a punk hazard part dose. You know what I'm saying? Also, Fujitora seems to be thanking Green Bull for the food, which I'm assuming that means that Green Bull is a cook. Is that foreshadowing him as a future opponent for Sanji? Is Sanji going to be, let's make a cake that will make Green Bull, you know the rest. You know the rest. Now, Admiral Ryokugyu seems to have long hair. I know some people wanted this admiral to be a female, but if you look at his jaw, pretty sure that's like a male jaw that we see in that panel. He actually kind of looks like Kaido a little bit, but without the mustache. Anyhow, I feel like now would be a really good time to remind some of you that when it comes to the admirals, Oda has based each of their designs on famous Japanese classic actors, film actors. So if you can find like a mold, like a shape of an actor that fits into Green Bull's silhouette, you might be, able to sort of discern what he looks like before he actually gets revealed. As a reminder, these are the name of the actors that Oda used as inspiration for the admirals that we know of right now. Akainu is based off of Bunta Sugawara. Aokiji is based off of Yusaku Matsuda. Kizaru is Kunie Tanaka. And Fujitora is Shintaro Katsu. Also, in addition to each of the admirals having a color and an animal associated to them, such as Akainu being red dog, Aokiji being blue pheasant, Kizaru being yellow monkey, Fujitora being purple tiger, and Green Bull being green bull. Oda has also mentioned that he also associates a type of justice to each of them. So in Akainu's case, it's absolute justice. He actually kind of has like sort of like that Sith mentality. If you're not with me, you're against me. Kizaru is actually uncertain justice. I'm not really sure what that means. Aokiji used to be lazy justice, and Fujitora is blind justice. So given the fact that Green Bull says that he's been fasting is usually like, something that I associate with religion, it could be that Green Bull is about divine justice or something related to that sense, like maybe like some spiritual type of justice. So that would be interesting. The fact that he hasn't eaten anything in 3 years doesn't really surprise me, especially because like just the mention of his name, Green Bull, just out of that, a lot of us, like the consensus seems to be that he has some type of a plant or tree or grass, logia or paramecia, double fruit ability, which means that, if you know plants, and how they eat, they use this process called photosynthesis, and I'm just going to read you like the definition of it because it got me hyped up. So it says, photosynthesis is a process used by plants and other organisms to convert light energy into chemical energy that can later be released to fuel other organisms
activities. Energy transformation. So what if Green Bull has been absorbing energy for 3 years to later be released? Like imagine an Admiral level solar beam from the sky. That's why Admirals are no joke, all right? No joke. Anyway, and finally, we find out that Vegapunk has been working on some things, and apparently these things are so powerful that the Shichibukai system could probably be abolished by using said things that Vegapunk has invented. So I'm assuming it has to be some type of weapon. Whatever Vegapunk cooked up in his lab has to be some like crazy Edo Tensei cloning device, or like it has to be something top tier, like for sure. Like in order to be able to replace Mihawk, like think about that. I don't know. But this was a great chapter of One Piece. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video if you did. I really appreciate that. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more One Piece content. And tell me what you thought about the chapter, guys. Catch you later. Bye.